seen things most people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I am Brian and this is Tech Therapy. Today's video will be on the Sony X90K, one of the earliest releases of 2022 from Sony. It was their mid to high full array local dimming LED sitting just below the 4K flagship X95, which was mini LED, and the Z9K Master Series, which was 8K and mini LED. Why do I circle back to the X90K? Well, it is now September of 2022, and many of you are now in position to buy. A lot of the panels that released earlier in the year are a much better value now than they were. However, many of, if not all of them, have been updated significantly, and now, as many of us know, the updates do affect picture quality. So in theory, nearly every X90K review should be updated, and today we'll be focusing on the biggest change, which is local dimming being enabled with VRR and auto low latency mode enabled. Having it disabled and something you couldn't control really hurt its image quality and became a no-go for many of you. I did a video on it when it first was updated, but many of you have asked me to follow up and show you the actual picture quality on both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. It does make a world of difference, and also the update helped its local dimming, which also makes a huge difference. And now at this value, it may be a choice for many of you. Special thank you to Mr. Robert and Wendy Zone of Value Electronics for supplying the X90K for extended review. Please consider making your next AV purchase through them. Check the description below for all of their information. Let them know that Brian sent you. Let's go in and check out the gaming picture quality of the Sony X90K. All right, guys, here we are in the Xbox Series X menu. You can see everything is checked green other than Dolby Vision, which we'll cover in a few minutes in the video. We'll also bring up the current prices. There are 4 sizes, 55, 65, 75, and 85. Again, excellent prices. These are all subject to change. We'll also show you the input lag numbers through the different resolutions from ratings.com. And in the menu, as you can see here, we're going to be toggling the different features within the preset for gaming, also showing you how local dimming with VRR enabled can now be enabled, and it does make a huge difference. Now, local dimming does help and does change blooming black levels drastically. With this missing in previous iterations of their LED lineup, has been crippling for their overall picture quality in gaming. Now, this was something that Samsung started, and Sony was a little bit late to the VRR, and it was a rocky road with the 900H having resolutions, local dimming, etc. Bringing it back is a huge deal. Samsung has not done that yet. However, Samsung does have the game optimizer where you can actually change the black levels and bring some of that black level back. I use Forza Horizon 4. I do feel that the demo, you can download that on the Xbox Marketplace or even Game Pass, is the best demo from Part 4 and better than Part 5. It does show all the seasons. It gives you a lot to look at, and they are visually stunning. 5 is an excellent game. I do prefer Forza Horizon 4, especially this demo. Check it out. You're going to see a lot of games in here that are dark. That is on purpose, as without local dimming enabled, there would be haloing all around the HUDs. Not because the X90K has terrible blooming issues. You can see the black bars are very black. Simply because without local dimming, without that feature enabled, you will guarantee to have heavy blooming around the HUDs, which I will show you later on the PS5 Returnals. Forza looks incredible, and Sony has always had one of the best gaming picture modes in terms of picture quality in the business, which is why local dimming being disabled on their LED lineup from a few years back when VRR was brought forth was the biggest issue, as it did change the picture quality drastically. They were always known to have the best color, the best processing, and even in game mode, they kept that picture quality. As we walk into Far Cry 6, again, in a darker area, there is very little blooming or haloing at all around the HUD, which was not the case prior to the local dimming being disabled with VRR. Now, VRR, variable refresh rate, having it, not having it, is a bigger deal now that many of these games do use 120 hertz as a gap between 40 or 50 and 60, creating, or 30 and 60, I should say, creating this 40 frames per second, 40 hertz mode that many of us are using. So it is important to have it for much more than screen tearing. You can see here in Far Cry 6, looks fantastic as we move into Doom Eternal. Now, people ask why I show the PS5 more than I show the Series X. Simply put, there aren't a lot of exclusives to show you on the Series X, which I hope changes very soon. But I want to show you a myriad of different games, colorful games, plus dark level. Doom Eternal, again, very colorful, more cartoony in comparison to Far Cry. But spent a lot of time with Sony since the 900E, and the game modes always looked great. There wasn't the lowest input lag back then, but the picture quality always looked fantastic. Can't be said for the other manufacturers through the years, even Hisense and TCL. Once you jumped into game mode, the picture quality would change drastically. Now, why this video is also important as we transition into, I believe we're going into Battlefield. Yeah, Battlefield, terrible game, but I figured I would show it as a multiplayer title. It is very responsive, does look very good. The reason for also doing this video is Hisense and TCL are bringing their best right now, and their feature sets, gaming, 144 hertz, they just have so much to offer at such a low price point, and that is competing directly with panels like the X90K in terms of price. Now, though the picture quality is excellent on the Sony game mode, as I mentioned, they retained that picture quality. It does have a long way to go in terms of catching up with everybody else. There is a 1440p option, which is limited to 60. There is no 144 hertz. Still lacking the HDMI 2.1 ports on all four. There is only two, one of them being the eARC. And as we mentioned, the lack of Dolby Vision, though not a problem for PS5, as the PS5 can't do Dolby Vision or doesn't want to, as we go into PS5 and show you the menu as we enable VRR here. It just lacks some of those features, and more importantly, it lacks the game optimizer. Game optimizer bar made very famous by Samsung, then LG, but even again, companies like Hisense, TCL now do have game optimizer bars, which actually give you presets within the game mode. So another additional 5 presets as we look at Horizon Forbidden West. Those features have become very commonplace, and Sony simply needs to catch up. Then again, Sony prides themselves on shadow detail, motion, and accuracy, more for film. But being they have the Sony PlayStation 5 and they've always had a beautiful game mode, they just simply need to catch up. And this auto local dimming, which we didn't think was going to be possible, having this here now out of nowhere is super important, and actually gives a leg up on Samsung in terms of its picture quality in game mode. Many more features on Samsung. They may be first even over LG, But as far as picture quality, the game mode looks fantastic, as you can see here, as we do juice up the preset a little bit. Live color, black adjust, and even advanced contrast enhancer on low can make a much more poppy image. Things like HGIG, things like that we're seeing on LG, those things need to be applied in Sony and have them catch up. Now, Dolby Vision apparently is not a limitation in terms of the HDMIs or of the processing. It's just something they're not choosing to do at this moment. It may be updated in the future. Not a huge big deal considering very few titles utilize Dolby Vision. Doesn't look fantastic, but you never know when it will be used. PS5 is excellent to me, has obviously all of the exclusives and has the more visually striking titles, because there are exclusives versus the Series X, which has very few. Games like Stray, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima. But as we go through the different gaming, showing you both Xbox and PS5, visually different games is what I'm trying to bring you. Most of the games that I'm showing you are a torture test for an LED. You can see the black levels, the shadow detail, and at the same time, no haloing. There is no screwing with the aperture on the camera. It is set to, its auto preset. There is no dimming down. This is what it looks like. Sony's been known for less zones, a better algorithm. You can definitely see it here. A very colorful image, as I mentioned, in the preset. You see SDR gaming as well as HDR gaming. Now, I may have been talking a little too much about everything else as we go through the Xbox, but I'm not super pleased with Halo and Battlefield at the moment, so I didn't pay much attention to them. I wanted to show them to you. But as we are here on Stray, which is another excellent title. Now, speaking with Sony engineers, I was surprised that they brought local dimming back, but it really was hard to recommend the X95K and the X90K, even the panels last year, if local dimming was disabled. Here at Returnal, I did this game during the X95 video that I did when the local dimming was disabled, and all of the HUDs that you can see at the bottom had incredible blooming around them. Now, the thing is, you could have disabled VRR and had all of this picture quality. The problem is, as I mentioned before, you do need VRR in some other ways to give you those 40 frames per second in between 30 and 60. So it's not just a screen tearing, that we're using. It's used in many different ways we didn't think would matter. We would always thought that if you were going to have VRR, use that in multiplayer in case there's screen tearing. It's really used in many other ways. Same with HDMI 2.1. We thought with HDMI 2.0 you'd be all set because it does 4K 60. Not the case. HDMI 2.1 is being used with VRR in many different ways. Returnal looks amazing. It's only 1080p, gorgeous game. But seeing this game with local dimming disabled absolutely altered the picture quality. 50% change. I mean, it looked totally different. And as we move into Dirt 5, one of the showcases on both consoles, screen uniformity was excellent on the X90K. No problems. It does have the slightly darker corners shared by all Sony LEDs. Now, all LEDs from Sony other than the Z9K at this moment have been updated with the local dimming. X90, Z9J, X95, and it makes a world of difference, especially if you want to go back to those panels. But as I mentioned, Sony really does need to step up. Game Optimizer Bar is a necessity, something I use every day on both Samsung and LG, as well as, a frames counter. Backing in and out of enhanced HDMI is a little bit arduous. You do have to go out, enable 4K, enable Dolby Vision when you want to go back to it. And I do believe Hisense this year has moved, them or TCL has moved the HDMI eARC to a different input, which is something I wish they would do as well, because eARC does take up one of the inputs. Someone like me with a PC and both consoles, I do use them all, the eARC to a receiver. As we go to Horizon Zero Dawn, the original, it's one of my favorite scenes in all of gaming for peak brightness. Now, as much as I love OLEDs, and I do enjoy them very much, it's something about the brightness of an LED. I found the X90K to be very bright. And specular highlights like that do pop. And sometimes in gaming, I do prefer going back to LEDs as long as the black level's still there. As again, we go through the settings and juice them up a little bit more here. Forbidden West looks amazing, but I love the look of the original Horizon Zero Dawn. Just really, really beautiful game. And again, this particular scene, which I keep saved, I did pass this screen where I'm a little girl in this part of the game. Just love the showcase of this. It's an excellent showcase for screen uniformity, as well as that skybox mixed with the specular highlights. Does show banding. If it's there, it's very clean. No jail bars of any kind. And the reason for the video is I do feel the X90K is an excellent choice for many of you that want Sony. You want their processing at a better value. Now we're looking here at Ghost of Tsushima. Again, darker with specular highlights together. And it looks fantastic. Now, the pixel response on Sony's has always been very good in the LED department. No difference here. You don't feel any heavy blurring. You might see that in the video as it's filmed at 4K 30. But I'm very impressed with it and can easily recommend it now. And that is a big deal, because the caveat or the excuse throughout the year was, hey, this TV's great, not for gaming. Not for gaming, kept saying that, and now I'm able to say that with some confidence and say, yes, gaming not only is very functional with very VRR and auto low latency mode, but the picture quality mode is what's most important. And that's something you won't know until you bring these panels home, is how does that game mode look? It is something we don't speak about enough, not just with local dimming disabled, but how is the picture quality? As we are here in Souls, this is another torch test as you walk through the castle for blooming and or grayish blacks, and it does a great job. So overall, very pleased with it. As you can see, 55, 65, 75, and 85. There are the four sizes. 85-inch TVs, it's a pretty good price for 85-inch. It will probably also go down as the year goes on, and you'll still be looking back at the X90K next year, much like the X90J. Buying TVs after they launch, you have at least 2 years, or the finish of the year it launches, and then the next year to really go back and make a purchase. But it looks fantastic, plays fantastic, and I'm glad to be able to say that it is much better than it was. Local dimming is here, looks fantastic. The game mode also looks amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you consider the X90K? Much like the X90J, it is a much better value. And again, having the improvements to game mode and its local dimming, which has helped blooming in all presets, it has been a big jump. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the comments. Take care.